Okay, so in this video I want to introduce what we call a bubble sort algorithm. Algorithm is really just a way of solving a problem and the steps taken to solve that problem. Very typical in computing. And in this case, our array is not sorted, and I would like to put the values in order. And we'll use a bubble sort to do it. This is kind of like a good first sorting algorithm for students. It's not efficient. It shouldn't be your go-to, but like if you move on and take a more serious computer science class, then you'll learn about better sorting algorithms. But the bubble sort is nice as a beginner's algorithm to sort the elements or sort the values in an array. So in order to demonstrate this, I think I'm going to use Excel just so we can kind of visualize this. So let's say this is my array in memory. And let's say these are student exam scores. Like this person didn't show up and they got a 0, and the highest score is 95. And let's say I want to sort them in descending order, meaning highest to lowest. Okay, so the 95 is going to end up at the top and the 0 should end up at the bottom. Here's how the bubble sort operates. Okay, so kind of stay with me here because it can get a little hairy. So what the bubble sort does is it takes a loop and it loops through element by element, comparing the current element to the one after it. If they are out of order, we swap them. Okay, here's what I mean. So for example, first time through the loop, I'm looking at 81. And then I'm comparing it to the one after it, 70. Okay, is 81 less than 70? Because if it was less than 70, they would be out of order and we would have to swap them. I want them to be in descending order. So in this case, the answer is no, they're fine. These two are in descending order, so I'm going to leave them alone. And I'm going to move on to the next element in the array. I'm going to compare it to the one after it. Is 70 less than 0? No, it's not. So these two are in good order as far as we're concerned, and we're going to leave them alone. Okay, move on to the next element. Compare it to the one after it. Is 0 less than 68? Yes, it is. We get a true here, and so we have to swap these two. Okay, and swapping in programming, I want you to imagine like almost like a rotation, like the way volleyball players move or rotate on a court. What we're going to do is we're going to have a temporary variable, and we'll pretend this yellow cell is our temporary variable. And I'm going to take one of the values and plop it into my temporary variable. Okay, I lost the yellow, but you know what I mean. And then I'm going to take this guy and move him into where the 0 was. Okay, and now I'm going to move the 0 there. So I swapped those two values, okay? And but I had to have that temporary location in order to make that movement. That's how we're going to do a swap. Okay, so moving along, that was the third time through the loop. Now the fourth time through the loop, I'm looking at the 0, okay? Is 0 less than 95? Yes, it is. I have another true. So I'm going to have to swap them, all right? I'll do the same thing. Move the 0 into a temporary location, move the 95 to where the 0 was, and then move the 0 back, okay? And, okay, great. Fifth time through the loop, is 0 less than 85? Yes, it is. Going to swap them. So basically, we're going to be following the 0 all the way to the bottom. Let me put it on pause and just kind of, so this doesn't get too repetitive. I'm going to pause this for a moment and I'm going to go through the spiel myself. Hang on. Okay, so I did the rest of it and followed the 0 all the way to the bottom, comparing it with the one next to it and swapping them. Okay, so great. That was really repetitive. And so it was a loop. Okay, that was kind of loop behavior that I was doing. And I followed the 0 all the way to the bottom. So now are my exam scores in perfect descending order? No, they're not. They're closer than what they were. They're better than what they were, but they're still not in perfect descending order. The 95 has got to end up at the top, right? And then the 92 would be up there right with it. So that was like one loop, but I would have to do that 9 times in order to ensure that the whole thing was sorted perfectly. Okay, why did I say 9? Because I have 10 elements in the array, and the number of times to guarantee a sort is n minus 1, where n is the number of items in your array. So that's why I said 9, because this is a 10 element array. So another thing, okay, so I would have to do that spiel, that repetitive spiel, 9 times. I would have to repeat that repetition 9 times. What I'm getting at here is a bubble sort is a nested looping technique. Okay, so let's take a look at the bubble sort. All right, so I have my array at the top here, and it's populated in the same order that you saw in the spreadsheet. And then here is my bubble sort algorithm. Okay, this is the bubble sort. I'm going to demarcate it like this. That's the bubble sort right there. I mean, the white space doesn't matter, but basically I have 2 nested loops, and they are each coded to run 9 times. And as I said, 9 because we have 10 elements. Maybe an even better way, instead of hard coding a 9, would be to do our usual get item count, and then this is the scores array. Okay, minus 1. You got to do the minus 1 there, though. Okay, you don't want to go the full 10 times. You don't want to go the full 10 times in either of these loops, but especially the inner loop. The inner loop is kind of like the workhorse. That's what mimics what I was doing when I was going through very methodically comparing the element to the one after it. And you don't, like, when you get to the very bottom here, the 10th element, there is no element to compare to the one after it. So you would fall off the edge of your array, which you don't want to do. So that's why you code that one to go only 9 times. So it's just, you know, and just remember n minus 1 for both of the loops, okay? So the inner loop is like the workhorse there, as I said. And so what you're doing is, and this is, I have, notice how I have 2 different loop counters. I like I for the outer loop, and then J for the inner loop. You can use whatever you want, but that might be a good thing to go by. And so we're saying if the current element, loop counter as array index, is less than the one after it. Look at how I'm accessing the one after it. Loop counter as array index plus 1 will get me to the one right after it, the element right after it. Okay, if the current element is less than the one after it, then we have to swap them. And here's that volleyball rotation thing that I was doing in the spreadsheet. You put the one value into a temporary variable, okay, and then you shift the one that, you know, the one after it into the current one, and then shift the temp back into that. Just, I mean, it's just 3 lines of code, and you can use this as a model when you're coding your own bubble sort. And that's it. That's the bubble sort. Okay, so what do I want you to remember? That the nested loops, 2 different loop counters, the n minus 1 thing in both loops, and then the volleyball players rotating. That's the code for that. All right, and there you have it. When all's said and done, I have a separate loop, just so I didn't confuse the issue. Just have a separate loop at the bottom here with loop counter Z that's going to print the scores. So I want to run this and show you that they are in fact sorted descending order. Okay, there they are, with the 95 and the 92 up at the top, the zeros at the bottom. And one more thing, I just want to point out that if I said sort these scores in ascending order, lowest to highest, What one thing would you have to change in this program? A single character would do the trick and reverse the sort order. This guy. Flip that sign, and now it's ascending order. Okay? So, and I mean, the moral of the story there is be careful of your sign, because you can get completely different result if you don't have it going in the right direction. Okay, just remember the alligator always wants the bigger meal. Okay,